you are a light somewhere, don't hide it. Don't hide your greatness, because God created you for more than this,
Hello, everyone. My name is Jois Donkor, and I am your host for Barrier Breakers Corner. It's like, hello, everyone. My name is not Joyce. I'm Nancy, and I'm going to be your host today. The host is now the guest. Today, Joyce is our guest, and I'm putting her on the hot seat as she takes us through the plan for 2025 growth, especially career wise. So if you do not know who my guest is, that's just too bad. And no, 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 no. So I'm going to quickly introduce her. Her name is Jois Donkor. She is an auditor, woman of God. Ladies and gentlemen, can I get her name in? And she's also a believer and a gorgeous woman in her prime. And today we're going to be talking about career growth for the coming year 2025. And if this is something that you want to see or listen to, because we will be making a video, yes, we are starting our video podcast in 2025. See, you people, this is an achievement. I shouldn't be the one announcing. I'm not the host. I'm not the real host. I'm the host today. So I get to announce we have a video podcast for 2025. I think Joyce is going to add like this confetti sound so that to have like added effect. We're going to add confetti sounds and woo, hooray. This is a big deal because, we're taking the podcast to another level and we want nothing more than for you to support and engage and, keep the energy for 2025 for this podcast. With that being said, hello, Joyce. How are you doing? How's your day been?
I feel good. I'm just not sure what you have for me, but
Don't worry.
I
The
trust
pressure will
you.
not burst pipe. Don't worry. The pressure will not burst pipe. Don't worry. The questions are today are very easy and the plan is to educate. The plan is to ensure that people who are looking for direction, they can get a sense of that listening to today's podcast, either through audio or video. I need to reiterate that
Right.
video.
Listen, I
So
I don't know the questions she has for me, guys. So I just told her, please.
they're not a lot. Don't worry, they're not a lot and they're not hard. And you can do it. Auditor like you. Come on. Come on. Anything, you are ready.
All right.
Okay, so the first question going into this is what's the most important lesson that you have learned since going into your career this far?
Right. Okay, so the lessons that I've learned is having the right people around you for
Mm-hmm.
guidance, career-wise, having a
Mm-hmm.
mentor. I wouldn't say I have like a one person at the station, but throughout my career, I've had people here and there that I know I can reach out to and ask questions. So
Mm-hmm.
right from the very beginning when I started audit right after I finished university. I had no idea what audit was. I didn't know what I was going to do. But one thing I know is that I had prayed about my career from ninth grade and asking God for direction. And so for me to be in audit is by the grace of God. And I love it. And when I got into it, my boss, who became like a mentor to me, was,
Mm-hmm.
and this audit that we're doing here is not really this what we're supposed to do. And so, there was that guidance. Even at that, there wasn't much more he could do because of where I was in Gambia.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, I just want you to know, FYI, that we are not doing as much as we are
We
supposed
should.
to. Yeah, but this is
Yeah.
it. And he will guide me through, my work that I was doing. And there were times where he wasn't around, I'll be in charge. And another thing, again, going back to having people around you, I always want to be a great team player, which
Mm.
is good for any job that you find yourself in. I mean, from the different odd jobs that I've been doing, one of my most important thing was to do the work the right way that you're expected to do it. Because I
Yeah.
always, in my mind, is like, if I had my own company, how would I want people to treat my company? And
Yeah.
that's how I go into any job. And that's helped me along the way. So having the right people around you for your career is great because you can ask for guidance. Even when I just started a new job, and even when I
Mm,
was getting it, I was seeking like audit guidance, you know,
mm,
onto what company was great, you know, the kind
mm.
of questions to be asked. Of course, I went on YouTube and watched all kinds of videos for interviews.
YouTube University.
Right, YouTube University. But I would say one lesson, if anything, was having the right people around me in my career, and that's really helped me along the way, even up to being here in US. Yeah.
Yeah, I love what you said about, like doing the right thing, especially if this was my company. I mean, there's a saying, anything that's worth doing is worth doing well. And I personally, like, even in the room, like, I saw the reward of that because I got like the most insane email a few days ago saying that, my hard work had paid off. Like,
Mm.
and just doing something and doing it diligently,
Yeah.
like without I don't want to say expectations, because what I was doing it without expectations,
Yes.
and somehow I was rewarded for it. Not I don't understand how, but I guess that's the beauty of God.
Right.
That's the beauty of God. Like, you might not be deserving of it, but you still get it. And so I love that. And if you didn't get the message, everyone, most important lesson is relationships.
Mhm.
And even today, I was also like talking to somebody about like the importance of like relation. For me, it took me a bit of time to get in that train. I'm just someone who just likes to just do my thing, stay in my lane, and just not like interact. I had someone that was always telling me, "Oh, Nancy, you have to socialize at work." I'm just like, I do my thing, I face my work, I do it well, and that's it, and that's okay for me. But then I now understand, like, it's important to position yourself
Mhm.
in a way, not in a way that is giving I want to use you, but it's
Right.
important to position yourself where you're learning.
Yeah.
You just have to pick something
Yeah.
from whoever the person or the people are, not necessarily so that you can do back for them, but like to also pour in other people when
Yeah.
the time will
Yeah.
come.
I mean,
So
the Bible says, whatever you sow, you shall reap. So you might not reap it from the people that you poured into or you sowed into.
yeah,
Coming
exactly.
from. So yeah.
Exactly. That makes a lot of sense. So what's one thing, one myth or misconception that is, attached to your career or your job? What's
Um,
one thing?
I think
I'm
one
sure there are a few things, but one thing suffice.
one misconception that people have about auditors is they get scared about auditors.
Oh,
Everywhere that I've been to.
when you say, "Oh, hi, I'm an auditor," oh my God, here we go again. Our books are good, okay, ma'am?
Like they don't like to hear that. Even like just randomly and someone asking you randomly, like,
What do
what
you?
do you do for a living? You're like, I'm an auditor. They're like, what? They're like, are you really here as a customer or you're here
Yeah, are you here?
undercover?
I never thought of it like that. Oh, maybe you're like secretly.
Right.
Oh,
Coming
oh,
to you, why would I blow my cover,
exactly. Like, why would I tell you? No
So
way.
yeah, so
No
that
way.
um but then back again to relationships, what I've learned was that as an auditor, be friendly with the people around you and don't go stuck up, to people and being policing around them. I think in the past that's what people have done, and that's why a lot of people are afraid of auditors. But our job is to really help, especially for internal audits.
Yeah.
Our job is to help whatever organization that we find ourselves in. Is to help do the work because would you rather us than the regulators come and
Yeah.
you or find those things
Do the
up?
work.
Yeah, because if they find it, then you're going to be fined, and some of the fines. I realize in this country we are talking about millions,
Heavy.
we're talking about billions.
Heavy.
Yeah. So it's better that you face us and see us as your
Yeah.
friends, that people that are here to help you, than see us as people that are here to attack you or ruin your job or make you lose.
We're in the companies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's not my field, but that's an interesting, you know, take. What do you think is a personality trait or strength that is needed to like excel in your career?
Mm. I think great communication skills. Um,
Oh.
yeah, because one thing that I've also known is or realized is whenever you communicate with people, not
Mm,
just phone calls on your job, make sure you are emailing. Even if you talk to the person on the phone, you go back on your email and be like, as per our discussion today on this date,
mm,
this is what we discussed. This is what we
mm,
are planning to move
mm.
forward with. This is what we are going to be doing, and this is what we're not going to be like. Just a summary
Yeah.
of your conversation, just so that you have a paper trail of
Yeah,
your
that's very.
conversation, because sometimes you don't do that and then you come back and somebody's like, I never said that.
Mm,
And if you had that paper trail, you can go back to the email and be like, this is what was
we
discussed.
discussed.
Yeah. So communication, and not just phone conversations, but keeping a paper
Mm,
trail of those conversations. And even on your email, just be as detailed as possible, even if it was just a brief
mm,
conversation. Just be as detailed as
mm.
possible, because you want anyone that would walk in, like anybody randomly walks in and wants to check that conversation or what happened, they know the details of the information. So communication is key. If you know
Yes.
you're not gonna make it to work, communicate. Let them know. It's not like we are supposed to start at work at 9 and at 9:30 you're texting them or I wouldn't be at work. No. Let them know way in
You
advance
receive-
they are not going to be there, you know. I
Yeah.
think people like that, and that detailed information. And what else is good? Again, we've talked about relationships, so that's another thing.
Mhm.
Being a great team player on your job and being a help, as a team, as a great team player, be able to help others. You have a job description. And sometimes some people will be like, oh, that's not part of my job description. But help out if you can, help out where you can. Of course, you
Okay.
don't want to take on extra when you have work that is uncompleted before you, in front of you, right?
Yeah.
But help out when you can, because at the end of the day, the people at the top are watching. Someone is watching. You
Yeah.
never know. You
Mhm.
never know. Somebody's,
True.
and
Exactly.
you can be recommended if you are taking on those extra, but some people just want to do their job and that's it. I cannot do this other. I am not going to do this for somebody. I was on an odd job, like I said earlier, that no matter what job I do, I want to make sure that I'm putting in my all. And I was doing some odd job, not pertaining to my career, but I always went the extra mile. And so whenever the higher ups would come and complain about me, my boss is like, no, that's not Joyce. That cannot be Joyce. That cannot,
Mm,
because they know my personality, they know the kind of person I am. And he was like, he would fight for me. So you want to be in that space where you're doing that, going that extra mile, and your boss is going to fight for you. Of course, there are some bosses that are like, you know,
mm.
they are not great. You will kill yourself and they'll
You also not even get a thank you.
not
So,
even a thank you, but we're not talking about, you would know when to leave. For me, whenever I have been in any organization or place, I know I could sense the time for me to leave was there.
mm,
Because as much as you've grown, you want to learn more, and they're not giving you any more. It's like you have learned everything there. So you want to grow. You know when the time comes, and then you move on, because some of
you
those
need to leave.
help promote you or anything. So being a great team player and just taking on extra work as and when you should, and not just doing it just for eye service, because some people do it for eye service. We're not
Of
just,
course.
you know.
Of
So those are
course.
the few I would say. Yeah.
Mm. I mean, those are great points, actually. Those are great points. And then, what would you tell someone or advise someone that is just starting out?
In their
Like
career.
yeah, in your field, like in terms of like education, in terms of places that they should start out with, interning and things like that. Like, what would you recommend for someone starting out?
I would
completely.
say be patient with yourself, um, because the person that you might be looking up to has taken probably 20 years of hard work to get to where they are.
Mm.
And if you are patient with yourself, you will get there. It might not be 20 years. The favor of the Lord runs differently, when you're,
Exactly.
but do like we have said throughout this podcast, do your work as expected, and go the extra mile because somebody else is watching. Even if nobody's watching, God is watching, and the world will come as and when it should.
Yeah, exactly.
So just be patient with yourself. And when you get to a new place,
Mm.
especially when you're starting a new job, you have this what's the word again? Imposter syndrome of I don't know whether I can do this. I don't
Yeah.
know, what my
Will
boss.
I fit in? Will I be able
Yeah.
to do the work diligently?
Exactly. Make the mistakes, but because that's at least give yourself the 3 months or the 90 days, or some people have
Yeah.
6 months or whatever, or a year. Give yourself that time period to make all the mistakes, and but ask all the questions. You know,
Mm.
take notes as you go. When you are being having meetings and somebody's showing you stuff, just take notes because you don't want to go back over and over again,
Mm.
asking the same questions again.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So take notes, ask questions, take notes, um, make the mistakes, and just let them know. Again, going back to communication, let them know that, hey, I think I made a mistake here.
Mhm.
What do you think? Or whatever it is, but be patient with yourself. And sometimes give yourself a pat on the back, I did this and I did well. And also asking whoever you're working with, how am I doing?
Feedback. Feedback.
Yeah, ask for feedback,
Feedback.
see how
Mm.
you're doing and all of that. Most companies now they do like,
They do that randomly.
but before you get on to that, eval, just ask, how you're doing so that you can do better. Also, one
Mm.
thing I've learned is that once you get on a project, so for me as an auditor, every quarter you might be rotating on a new assignment, or
Mm.
where I was before, I was a consultant, so we were on different clients.
Mm.
So with different clients, you might have a different manager that is going with you.
Mm.
So when you have a new manager, ask them what are their expectations? What do they want from you? What are the expectations of you? What do they want you to do as you're doing this work so that you can do it well the way they want? Because one thing I
Mm.
realized as a consultant, every manager works differently, which is one of the reasons
Yeah.
why I was not looking forward to being in consultancy again. Because
Mm.
every manager would, they have their own way that they want things to be done. And so when you finish
Mm.
with this manager, you're going to another manager and you're like, I want it done this way. And you're trying to bring that old manager style
Manager style,
to
yeah,
this
to
new
this new
manager.
one. It's just like no.
Exactly. So asking them, at the beginning, hey, what are your expectations of me, uh,
Mm.
on this assignment? Even if you're given a task, what are your expectations of me on this task?
Mm.
It might not be 3 months, it might just be 1 week. What are you expected? So asking questions before you get on there. Yeah.
This is a bit like hearted. What's your favorite productivity hack? Like, what's that thing that you do to ensure that you're fully productive? You know, for if it's not for the day, for the week, or for when you have a task at hand that is like 1 week deadline, you're like,
So so for me, it's having a to-do list. Once I have
oh,
my
really?
to-do list, yeah. So once I have my to-do list on the side, I may have a lot on the paper, but as long as I put my thought, everything in my mind on paper, I feel like it
Mm.
frees up my mind.
Mm.
So I'm able to do more than
Mm.
when I don't have it written down. So once
Oh, okay.
I write it down, I'm able to do the
Mm.
task as expected and switching off my phone.
Because let me interrupt you. When I say I want to study like this, the next thing you know, I always put my phone is always on DND. But now more than ever, I'm putting it now more on DND because it's just like, oh, I want to flip when someone texts me if it's not my sister, if it's not my best friend. I'm just like, let me quickly, it's like messages upon messages. Before you know, like 45
One
minutes is
hour
gone.
is gone.
I'm
Where
like, the next thing I'm going to do, if that doesn't work, I'm going to leave my phone in the living room. Go hard or go home.
No, I've realized how putting off my phone has helped.
Because sometimes it just takes away your time for no reason.
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Ah, no, I need the to-do list. Maybe I should try that."
No,
Because
no,
sometimes I'm just like, oh, I'll just 1 hour, I will study and I'm there like 2 hours plus later, flipping
yeah.
through like the third page.
No, having a to-do list for me it has helped. Or even as someone who is very, should I say, creative, or always have a lot of ideas in my head. I have to write things down. If I don't write it down, it's like I'm hoarding stuff in looking at your house or
Yeah.
your and hoarding all these things and just it's just scattered everywhere. That's how my brain feels
Mm,
like. So I make
mm,
sure that I put it down. If I don't put it down, my brain is going to be cluttered. And you know how
mm.
I don't know for other people, but when my house is cluttered, I don't know how to think,
Yeah, like definitely. Cleanliness is next to
godliness. So you
so
have to clean the brain of some stuff.
period. Of course, like that makes a lot of sense. I think what's my productivity hack? Mine is definitely putting my phone on D&D because I will not get anything done if my phone is in sight or in view. But the problem now is my textbooks are literally on my phone.
Change.
So it's just like, how do I escape? How do I escape? I don't like reading with my laptop.
So
So I guess I have to start reading with my laptop now
okay,
because
iPad. If you do
2025 is crunch time. No kidding.
so, I'm
Crunch time for a
thinking
lot of things.
of moving some of my apps to my iPad and not.
I literally don't have social media on my tab for obvious reasons.
Oh wow.
For obvious reasons, it's just textbooks and my what is it called? The apps for editing videos because I edit my content videos here. Besides that, I'm like, no social media is entering this phone, this tablet, nothing, because no way.
We
I will
must
be
win this.
productive.
We have to pass.
Eh?
Listen.
No, 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 no. I'm just like that level of distraction needs to. We need to
I
drop it in
remember
2024.
I remember, was it last year or 2 years ago? My phone was like almost always off. And my friends were just reaching out to me and they're like, it's so hard to get you this. I was like, listen, the work I'm doing right now, it requires a lot of me. So I had to switch off my phone at some point. And they're like, I call you, I don't get to you. I don't know. And it's like, once I'm done with that, I just want to go and
Mm,
sleep. So it was like, it was
mm,
so hard to get me. But
no,
yeah, sometimes you just have to do what you got to do to break
mm.
barriers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, it's intense and it's something else. But you know what? We'll do better in 2025. We'll
Yeah.
have a to-do list. We'll put our phone on D&Ds if we need to, or we put
Mhm.
it in the living room if we need to as well.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll do better in 2025.
We'll do better.
So, what's one of the biggest risks you've had to take for your career? Have you had to take any risk, or it's just been goal in mind
Mm.
and it's just like tunnel vision, or you've had to take like risk, and if you did it pay off or it didn't?
Ooh, that's a very good question. So,
Have I tied your hand here?
yeah. So basically,
No.
I feel like like I said earlier, when I know that this place is no longer for me, um, you have to still do the work because sometimes when you realize that you've outgrown the place, you can be like a disco. And I have to still maintain my steez and composure on the job just because
Very important.
so
Yes. Yes.
um and like just still coming on time. But one of the risks I've taken was still staying the course because like I said earlier, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I've been praying about it. Oh, I don't know what it was on the side, but yeah, I've been praying about my career from ninth grade,
Mm,
and God has been directing me. So the one of the risks I would say was staying the course or staying true to myself that I really do love
mhm.
about it, and I wasn't going to sway to nursing.
Or other. career options.
to other options because and when you move abroad, everybody's like nursing is the fast way to make money, yada yada. But
Mm, mm,
I was just staying the course alone is it's a I feel like it's a risk, you're taking on yourself because you understand where your
mm,
assignment is for now in that season and going that route is where you need to go. Um, Another risk I have taken, and it's recent, was when I got my job. Um, so I had two companies that I that wanted me. I interviewed for.
mm,
Imagine I've been interviewing for so long, and then to have two companies that want to hire you, and one was I would say a big four. I wouldn't mention the name, and they
mhm,
wanted me, and I was like, no. I wanted this other industry. I wanted to go back into the banking industry, so I was like that was a huge risk for me because being in a big four, imagine top four companies to work for in the
it's a
whole
good
entire.
resume booster.
Yeah, yeah. But I knew where I was in my life, and I knew that's
Mm,
not what I wanted at that point. I felt like I needed to do some more growing and some
mm,
more learning. And I really wanted to go back to the banking industry because I
mm,
loved it when I was back home and how much I grew whilst there, the learning that I did. And that was
mm,
what made me not go for a big four because I was like,
mm,
I don't know. I've had an experience of how they work and I was like, I don't think I'm ready for them yet. I don't know whether I would want to work for them in the future, but for now, I knew where I was in my life and I knew what I wanted, and it was a very tough decision, but I took the banking and left the big four, and I know a lot of people are gonna be like, no way.
No, I mean, if you felt led to go there, I mean, it doesn't need to make sense to everybody. It just has to make sense to you, and God has to lead you there. Oh my
Right.
God, you didn't. Some things are just preparing you for the next step,
Yeah.
literally. Some
So
things are just preparing you for
yeah.
the next step.
And I'm so glad I did. And that's a huge, I mean, if it's a risk that we're talking about, yeah, that was a risk. I don't know what I would have expected while I was being there.
God will show you the signs that it is worth it. Trust me. Like, even like, maybe this is something that maybe I will talk about off the podcast, but like, even that, sometimes you just have to wait. Being in, when you make a decision,
Mhm.
sometimes it doesn't make sense in that moment. Sometimes time will be the determining factor
Yeah,
to see if that thing, the
yeah,
full picture is picturing.
yeah. All right. That's
So yeah.
I also want to add that one of the other risks that I've taken was moving to this country. Imagine being a risk manager where I was working before and then having to start all over again. And what I mean, I didn't have to go back to school, but starting all over, like being a junior accountant to going back into audit. Yes, now I'm in as a senior auditor, but just starting all over again, that's like a huge risk. And sometimes people don't want to take that because it's
Mm-hmm.
like my reputation
Mm-hmm.
is at risk here.
Sure. My
People,
ego as well. My ego, because
people
that's
are
a
looking
that's a
down.
thing too.
Yeah, people are going to look down on
Mm-hmm.
me. Why am I here? But it's not about the people. It's about where you are at, in that present moment and where God wants you to be. So it was a huge risk. I didn't want to move, but I eventually made the move, and I'm so glad because I've seen so much
Mm-hmm.
growth in that move. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. And I think I'm going to ask this one. I think it's important because in anything in life, we've all experienced some level,
Hmm.
some more than others, some level of failure and setback. How were you able to handle like failures and setbacks in your career?
Oh. Okay, so setback, yes, moving here seemed like a setback because I had to start from the bottom.
Mhm.
But I I was mentioning that audit in Gambia and audit here was different because when I was in Gambia, we're doing a lot of work, in terms
Mhm.
of we knew what it was it's a small country in the
This
first place.
country, yeah.
And so there was not much of audit that we're doing. So we're doing everything within audit, like you're doing customer service, treasury, funds transfer, IT, um, branch audits, and all of that. Then moving here is more specialization. So
Mhm.
once I got into, because when I was trying to navigate my career,
Mhm.
um, I was thinking, I was like, I do love audit, it's where I want to go to. But, it was like, oh, why don't you do this? And why don't you do that? And I was like, no. And by God's grace, I found myself back in audit. And then when I got into audit itself, where we're doing strictly audit, it was like, I was shocked even though my manager back who was like a mentee as well had told me this is not the kind of audit that we do. This audit that you're doing is like
Mhm.
really a joke. But um, coming to US and then starting to do audit itself, I was so shocked about the
Mhm.
things that we were not doing,
Yeah.
And so when I started, it was like I know I had audit experience, but then I was doing the work and it was like, I have never done this.
This is so foreign. This is so new.
Yeah. And it's like I didn't know where to go to in the company or who to ask in the company because of course you have like, this is what you've done in audit, this is what you have done, yada yada. And now you're in and it's like, what is going on here? And I started losing my self-esteem just because of that. I felt like I'd failed because my first eval was really bad. And I was like, first of all, I felt like the person who wrote that eval was trying to do a comeback.
I can relate.
Trying to
I can relate.
was trying to do like what's it called? He had left the company and had come back and he was like he was trying to, just get up there. And so anything to tear someone else down and be like, oh, she didn't do this. Or that's what I think. Because my second project that I got, I did very well on there. But even through the time as other audits came up, I realized that I felt like I was just failing. Like it's like I'm
I'm
not
not
getting,
getting it.
and we're at a place where you were like, you are being told, hey, if you don't want to be here on this audit, you can always tell them that you don't want to be. And I'm
Mm.
like, so they'll tell me about this, like they'll bring three different assignments and then they'll tell me, and I'm just like, I can do this. These other two I cannot. And then they'll put me on this two that I said I cannot. And I felt like I was constantly failing on the job.
Anyway, setting you up to fail.
Right. And for me, I felt like a failure. It bothered me a lot. Like I said again, I said earlier, it reduced or lowered my self-esteem. And I wasn't going into meetings with confidence because there was always something
Mm.
that I wasn't doing right and all of that.
Mhm.
So for a season of time, I felt like a failure. So how did I overcome that? When I
Mm.
started going for interviews, well, prior to that, I wanted to do a course. I wanted to do a CIA course, and I was like, okay,
Mm.
I heard about the CISA course, that's the IT audit course, and I took some
Okay.
classes. In fact, I was like taking multiple classes on that, and I'll read on my own. I understood everything that was going on the IT audit, and I took my CISA exam. I passed to the glory of God. I passed it, right? However, I'd go for interviews, and there was one particular interview that made me realize that you are not a failure. Like, you know what you're doing. I went for that
Mm.
interview, and then when I finished, I did so well. Even I knew I did so well, but when they rejected me, I was like, what did I do wrong? And they were like, well, we're looking for a junior auditor and not a senior auditor. And I was like, huh.
Take me. I need this job.
you know? And I was like, so I'm coming off as a senior auditor and not as a junior. And so that means I know what I was doing. I know this
Mhm.
job. So that gave me like a buffer, I was I felt encouraged by that. And that's what I held on to and started doing more research. I read before interviews. In fact, there was some interviews that I never had, but it was like six interviews, right? I never got the job, but I was like six interviews. And guess what? The recruiter and the wife were helping me. They were like,
Are you
God
serious?
sent, they will send me links. I'll read them. I'll prep. Like every interview I went, it was like, you were doing good. They were doing good. They were doing good. And then after a while, they were like, well, we have to go and think about whether we need an auditor or not. And I'm just like, after six interviews.
Like, couldn't you have thought about that at interview too, at least?
But you know, when I look back, all I see was God's hand.
Character
Like He was
building.
prepping me for where I am supposed to be today. You know, all the questions, all the preparations, all the reading that I was doing was enabling me for what I was to come. So that's how I think I overcame that failure and that imposter syndrome because I was like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. So when you find yourself in that pit or at that low level, you know, ask questions, start reading up on stuff, see where you're going and all of that. And I believe that you come to a point of realization that you can do this, you know. And of course, if people come to you or your boss comes to you and tells you, hey, you know, this part, you're not doing so well in it. And like I said, I think, I don't know whether you asked this question here, but one of the shocks that I had was back home, we have people, when you go to meetings, your managers are the one talking, but
Mm.
and you like as a junior
You
staff,
don't speak. You
you
don't
don't
speak
speak.
in.
Yeah,
You don't have the right to speak. Like, who are
right.
you?
Who are you? So
Who
in
are you?
different. They want you to speak, whether you're a junior or the lowest level staff or whoever you are, you expect you to speak. So when my evaluations were coming that Joyce is not speaking up, Joyce needs to speak up more, Joyce needs to speak up more, I was like, okay, I had to take that on. So now that's what something I had to pick up and start doing and exercising those skills. So if your manager comes to you and say you're not doing well in this area, pick that up, find ways to do, you know, well in that area
To
because I now realized that it was a cultural something that was going on in my mind. And then I have to
thing. It is a cultural thing. Like,
yeah.
it is. It is a very big thing back home. Like, even where I'm from too, it's just like when the elders are speaking, you sit silently and you listen
Yeah.
because your opinion doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Truthfully, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm obviously in a different field, but I haven't gone through the whole loophole of working tough. No, I won't say I haven't gone through because I have a job. But what I'm saying is I haven't gone through the work environment properly in my field. I've worked in my field,
Mhm.
but that's story for another day. Joyce has to invite me. I'll come and pour my mind.
Right.
I'll come and tell you people my mind. But being in environments that challenge you,
Mhm.
push you. I remember starting my current job as well, and then they gave me an evaluation. I'm just like, who does this belong to? It can't be me.
Really.
I'm like, it can't be me. These people are out to get me. And then the second time it was good. The third time it was good. And there's also the thing of anything that's worth doing. It's worth doing well.
Yeah.
Um, doing that is not for eye service. You shouldn't do it to get anybody's appraisal, anybody's, oh, good job,
Mhm.
Nancy, or good job, Joyce. Do it because it's for your own good at
Yeah.
the end of the day. I've seen the effect of doing
Yeah.
something diligently. I reaped the reward of something that I didn't even think I was even sowing,
Mhm. Mhm.
which to me is that is just God. Because if I want to sit and explain it, I'm just like, my mind cannot really conceive like the thing that I did because it's not that special. But I would just say that one is just the hand of God.
Yeah.
But yeah, that basically brings us to the end of the questionnaire. I don't want my guests to feel too pressured. Let the pressure not burst pipe. I hope I didn't shake you up too much.
No, I wasn't expecting this side of the
did,
question. So, but I think it was really great knowing
did I
that.
shake you up?
I wasn't expecting, but it was good. I was good. I was good. You did so well.
You guys, I have a career in hosting now. See, if you told Joyce to bring me back again.
You definitely should. We should take another top because I wasn't expecting. I thought it was going to be more of a general questions about growth and all of that. But this was good. No, and I think it's just God because this year has actually been career. It was more on career,
Oriented.
and I think it was perfect. It was the
Oh,
perfect.
okay.
It did
You
well.
guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Okay. Thank you for having me on here. It's been real. Thank you, my lovely guests, for having me host your podcast. It's been real. Don't forget to share this video. 2025.
Mhm.
We're going into a season where we want to achieve things. And even if it's not career, it's entrepreneurship, it's
Mhm.
business.
Mhm.
So growth is not just limited to career. That was where I kind of focused on because I think that people are at the point in their lives where they want to diversify or grow. And so
Mhm.
I was kind of leaning towards career because like you said, this was the year for that for you, and low key for me too. So we're expectant of bigger and better things in 2025.
Yeah.
Obviously, let the will of God be done at the end of the day. Even
Mhm.
though sometimes that is hard to watch and wait, but at the end of the day, God's perfect will or nothing else.
Oh,
Thank you for
nothing.
having us or for having me, and bye.
Bye. If you know you are a light somewhere, don't hide it. Don't hide your greatness because God created you for more than this.